Continuing our theme of education here in the South Coast, we're pleased to welcome the new president of Bristol Community College, Townsquare Sunday. Dr. Laura Douglas has been in a new position, very short time, month or two perhaps, and but her bio says on the BCC website that she is raring to go. So that's good news. Welcome, Dr. Douglas.
Thank you for having me.
All right. In your bio, you state both your parents were educators. Obviously, they kind of paved the way for you in education, I would think.
Yeah, they did. But, you know, the funny story is that I never, ever thought that I was going to be an educator. Of course, I didn't want to do anything that my parents did. It was later in life when I discovered that, hey, that's a great role in life, and that's the career for me. So, yeah, I kind of kicked and screamed a little bit along the way and then got into the groove.
But you did some interesting things as a young woman, as someone who just starting out in life. One of them was teaching English to students in Japan, and later teaching refugees in Thailand. That had to be an eye-opening work for you, I think.
Yes, it was. In fact, I graduated from college at a time when our economy was in a very it was in very poor shape, and it was very hard to find a job. I had studied social work and was very interested in doing international work, and actually had some opportunities come internationally, and I very much appreciated those opportunities. And in fact, one of the nice things about being here in Bristol County is that there is a very large Cambodian population, and what has been just so joyful for me is meeting so many different Cambodian people who actually had been refugees in the camp where I had worked. And so, in fact, recently was able to go to one of our local temples and meet with some Cambodian families and actually bring my photographs of Khao Dang refugee camp. And nobody has pictures of Khao Dang refugee camp, so the pictures were really amazing for them because all they had were the images in their head. So reconnecting with the Cambodian community, which I helped to resettle, is so incredibly gratifying.
So when did the light come on? When did it say, yeah, boy, I want to be an educator. I want to teach and administer and be a part of an organization?
Sure.
When did that happen?
Well, I had I began teaching in Japan, and then had worked in the refugee camp in Cambodia, came back and did a master's in international administration, and I thought, I really like that concentration of development work and education. And so a little bit later in my career, I had the opportunity to go to a private college in Connecticut, and and work as a student services administrator, as an international coordinator, helping a college with a brand new mission to become an international organization. And as I did that work, I saw a lot of opportunities for change. And I began to formulate in my mind this notion that I could help lead change. I could help make the changes in higher education that would truly create prepared global citizens for the world. And at each level that I moved up, I realized that when I went back to Japan a little bit later in life, I was in my early 30s. I recognized, I was a dean at that time, I recognized that I had basically capped out in my career. I couldn't go any farther than with a master's degree and a dean and head of a campus. And at that point, it was my real first introduction to community colleges, and the light bulb went on, which was, wow, I really like higher education, but I love community colleges. It brought together the philosophy that I bring to life, that I learned as a social worker, as well as higher education. Because in community colleges, we're helping a lot of first-generation college students who need additional support, students who are ready to change their lives. They're coming to college because that's that's their vehicle for changing their lives. So it was my aha moment, and then it was when I was about 35, that's when I knew that I had to go back to school and get my PhD if I were to try to aspire to my dream, which was to be a community college president.
You spent a lot of time in Fall River as a young child?
Well, a little bit. My grandfather was from Fall River. Great-grandparents came here from Ireland. And then later on in life, when my grandfather retired, he retired to Plymouth. So we would always come through Bristol County, specifically right through the city of Taunton. I guess my greatest memories were driving through Taunton, beautiful town. So coming back and forth quite a bit.
You're listening to Townsquare Sunday. Dr. Laura Douglas, the new president of BCC, is our guest. One of the first things you did as president of BCC was sign a letter with other community college presidents against discrimination and hate. Mm-hmm. These things sometimes are symbolic in nature, and this was, I think, too, but obviously what happened in Charlottesville around that time, in signing that letter, do you feel that stuff like that could happen here? We could see outbreaks of hate and hate speech. It's not anything that I foresee happening a lot here, but it could happen here.
It certainly could happen anywhere. And, we learn a lot from our brothers and sisters at other colleges and universities around the nation. I think we can all go back to Virginia Tech. What happened at Virginia Tech was pivotal for all of us. It made us look at our policies and procedures and do things very, very differently. Charlottesville also gave us the opportunity to look at what we do and to develop policies and procedures to help us address these types of issues. So for us as campus leaders, Charlottesville was very impactful. And it was quite a change. We look back at some other institutions that were really grappling with free speech and trying to decide, well, what do? We want to certainly promote free speech on campuses, but what happens when there are elements of hate? And what happens when there are elements of violence? And Charlottesville showed us what can happen. And now it really gives us all opportunity to pause, to discuss, and come up with policies and procedures for handling these types of issues on campus and getting out in front of them to say that, yes, while free speech is good, we do not believe in hate, we do not believe in violence, we do not believe in bigotry. We are going to stand for what's truly important, and we want to shout that from the rooftops.
Dr. Douglas, you've been here, I think, a couple of months. Have you had a chance to visit all 5 campuses?
Oh, yes. Within the first week, I had been out to every single campus. Actually, before I even started, I had taken the time to go to the various BCC sites, but did that in my first week. Week 2, we had meet and greets back at each of the locations so that I could meet the key leaders, and we had great turnout for those events. So I've met an awful lot of people in the last 7 weeks, but that has really helped me to already begin making connections with our local schools and with some of our legislators and our various business and industry sectors as well.
Do you think that having campuses, 5 campuses spread out, is that a strength of this system, do you feel?
I believe it's a strength within our system here in Bristol County because many of our students are bound by issues with transportation. And if we can't get people to the college, then we need to go to the people. And I believe that that's one of Jack Sprague's greatest legacies, is that he really worked to establish these various campuses to make sure that education is attainable in all the various corners of Bristol County. So I'm very proud that we have that representation. And now it's really up to us to decide in a little bit more detail what those campuses will do. Will there be some programs at at certain campuses that will not be readily available at other campuses? How do we want to grow? How do we then, as one college, then best serve the immediate communities of those where those campuses are located, because the needs are different, and we need to make sure that we are constantly assessing the needs of that immediate community to make sure that we have the right program inventory and the right service inventory to serve our constituents.
Talk a little bit about curriculum. BCC recently opened a casino lab at the Taunton campus. I'm not sure you've ever been at a place that offered that kind of curriculum before. What'd you think of that?
Well, it is a very interesting facility, and it is a very unique educational facility, and it is educational. You walk in, and it looks like a casino. You know, there's the blackjack table and poker and craps and roulette, and nothing would give you a sense otherwise of anything other than walking into a casino. And then right next door to the casino lab is a surveillance lab, because that's also a large part of casino management. So it's really a great way to train people in an industry. I think what's very important about our program is that we offer the business degree, the associate degree program in business, with the concentration in casino management, because no matter what happens in the future with casinos, and because some of those jobs are limited, students can use that basic degree, but they can also use that concentration to leverage a career within that industry or the hospitality industry. But it does not define what they're going to do, as opposed to having an associate degree just in casino management, which could be perhaps too narrow for someone's career. It may not serve them throughout their entire career the way a business degree would.
Well, of course, Massachusetts is hosting two casinos for sure, one in Springfield, one in Boston. The Taunton Casino still up in the air, I guess we'll have to say, but clearly there are jobs, and there are jobs available for people who have some knowledge of that industry. So
sure.
Clearly,
and with casinos in northeastern Connecticut as
right.
well as in
Close
Rhode
by.
Island,
Tiverton, that's
right?
Yeah.
With or without a Taunton location, we have the ability to be a leader in training in this industry.
Is that the job of community colleges then, to learn what companies need and then offer courses in those areas? Is that how you see community
Absolutely.
colleges?
In fact, I tell people all the time, the indicator that I'm doing my job is when the phone rings and somebody says, "Hey, Laura, we need this." And then I know that I have built the relationship. We can begin the conversation. It doesn't just start with somebody's idea, "Oh, we need this" or "we need that," but that's not the deciding factor of putting together a program. It starts the ball, basically, of researching the need, understanding where the jobs are, how they will increase over time, and then we are able to address that need in terms of a certificate or a program or a concentration. But yes, we want to always be researching what it is that is coming, so we're not just talking about what we need today, but what we need tomorrow, what we need in 10 years. So right now, we're even looking at things that maybe aren't even on the charts. I mean, we're talking about some degree programs or some areas of concentration that we think are going to be very important in 5 or 10 years, but there's very little information out there. So we start with very informal conversations, and we want to be ready, and we want to be ahead of the game. And we like to turn on a dime. That's the other thing that defines us as community colleges. Larger institutions, the four-year institutions, have processes that take so long, and you have to get the faculty together, and you have to create your curriculum, and then it has to go to the state, and it has to go here. And then by the time you have a curriculum together, it can be passé. But for the community college, our faculty and staff do such a great job of working quickly to meet demand, to show our relevance, that we can have have these programs developed and approved and offered on a very short timeline. And that's what truly makes us proud, is our ability to respond to the needs of business and industry.
With every new president coming in, there is a period of reflection and study, I'm sure, but generally there is some changes at some point.
Yes.
Are you ready to talk about those things yet, or is it
Absolutely.
too early?
No, it is. I am formulating a number of goals and then trying to decide really what priority I need to begin addressing them. But for example, one goal is to identify and reach out to new markets and underrepresented groups with a very strategic focus. We do a lot of work in our community with our high schools and various groups, but I believe we need to be more focused in working with the Latino population in our area, our African Americans, our Asian Pacific Islander groups like our Cambodian population, our ESL students and new immigrants. We have a very good flow of people coming into our area that are looking for English as a second language and looking for workforce development. We have, I think, some specific work to do in helping our veterans, and we'll be opening a new veterans center this fall. Also, we want to do a little bit more work with our adults who are 25 years and older, who have not thought about college and are at a point in their lives where they can concentrate on building a career. We want to do more in dual enrollment, which is helping students access college classes while they're in high school to become better prepared for college, so that there's an easy transition, but also that they will carry credits that will make their college careers perhaps a little bit shorter. So the other big thing that we will be working on is what we call the Commonwealth Commitment, which is a special opportunity for students in Massachusetts to get their start at the community college and then transfer into one of the other four, one of the Massachusetts four-year public institutions, such as UMass Dartmouth or Bridgewater State, right here in our backyard. But if you can do that lockstep and quickly, at the end of that Commonwealth commitment, there is like a cashback rebate to students. So it's real incentive to keep tuition low, to keep costs down. And so we'll really be working to educate our local community on how that will work. We have more to do in our area, though, with helping students develop their educational aspirations. And I think as we look at overall goals for the college, or the overall goal for my tenure, it is to raise the educational attainment levels in this area. And BCC will be a player, can be the best player. We are the most affordable option here. We're flexible, we're nimble, and I know that that will, I think, be a true measure of my effectiveness as a leader. And with that also comes some goals in working with business and industry to help our relationships so that we can really drive the economic development in this area. And it's probably no surprise to you that BCC is a real leader in offshore wind.
That's right.
And we're really trying to work closely with our partners, the local businesses here, as well as Mass Maritime and UMass Dartmouth, in putting together everything that we need to be an industry leader and to be a competitive leader in the Northeast. So those are just some of the things that are on my plate that are rising to the top. But there's certainly a lot to be done, just because our educational attainment levels really need to get pushed up. We're only at about 18%. And yesterday, one of the very interesting news items was that Massachusetts has now reached the leader position in educational attainment. 50% of Massachusetts residents have bachelor's degrees. And that is absolutely wonderful, but we are severely lagging here in the Southeast region at 18%. But the other piece of this equation that is so fascinating is that students who have a bachelor's, or those who have individuals, workers who have a bachelor's degree, are making 99% more in their salary than those students who have a high school degree. So investing the 2 years or the 4 years for education will pay out in dividends for sustainability and income and self-sufficiency, ability to achieve everything that you want in life. And there's one other piece to the story, and I thank you for listening, and that is that 72% of all jobs in Massachusetts by the year of 2020 will require more than a high school diploma and less than a 4-year degree. So for many families who think, well, I've been able to do fine on a high school diploma, you'll be okay, they tell their kids, that is no longer the picture. The message is loud and clear that without higher education, you will not have the opportunities to have a high-earning career in the state of Massachusetts.
Dr. Laura Douglas stating her goals as the new president at Bristol Community College. We're very pleased you could join us on Townsquare Sunday today. Good luck with a big job of running Bristol Community College and all its campuses. Townsquare Sunday will return in just a moment.